নমস্কার, মিরর নিউজের পর্দায় আপনারা দেখছেন আজকের বিশেষ অনুষ্ঠান। আর আজকে আমাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছে যারা, তাদের সাথে আলাপ তো নিশ্চয়ই করিয়ে দেব, কিন্তু তার আগে বলে রাখি যে আজকে মিরর নিউজের পর্দায় কলকাতা থেকে যারা দেখছেন তাদের জন্য নাটক নিয়ে, থিয়েটার নিয়ে, যারা পাগল, যারা থিয়েটার নিয়ে স্বপ্ন দেখে, তাদের জন্য আজকের দিনটা বেশ গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটা দিন। আর আমার কাজ হচ্ছে শুধুমাত্র সূত্র ধরে। আমার কাজ একজন বিশিষ্ট মানুষকে শুধু আলাপ করিয়ে দেওয়া, মিরর নিউজের নিউজ এডিটর হিসেবে। আমি প্রথমে আলাপ করিয়ে দিই সবার আগে আমার খুব প্রিয় মানুষ দিপন রায়, যিনি দীর্ঘদিন লড়াই করছেন থিয়েটার নিয়ে, বাংলায় নয়, শুধু নিউ জার্সিতে। আমাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছে মোহন আগাশে জি। मोहन जी नमस्कार। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। मोहन जी के बारे में तो आपका तो जानकारी है ही। और सतीश व आलेकर जी नमस्कार। और पूरा टीम, डायरेक्टर फाले जी, आपको भी आई डोंट नो एग्जैक्टली, you can talk to English only, I think. So he's the director of that play, and so this is my part. I have been settled right now, and now I have to go for the PCR unit, and now whole team will come with some thoughts. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, since our host is off now, I think I will take the responsibility to start it. As all our audience know by the time probably that we are holding our 16th South Asian Theatre Festival coming week August 6th and 7th. And this production will be produced by AP Cactus Workshop, who is organizing the festival. And we are fortunate enough that we got Professor Farley Richmond from University of Georgia, who is the professor of South Asian Theatre Studies over there, South Asian Theatre Studies director. And we are lucky to have him with us to direct this Indian play, which is written by one of our someone. Can you please talk, then you open your microphone. Okay. So we're lucky to have him back with us. He directed 2 plays with us so far. One is Little Placard and one is Sacrifice, written by Tagore. And we traveled with Sacrifice to India even. And he came back after almost 10 years to direct this play, which is very interesting, because this particular play is acted by different theatre groups all over the world. And probably, if I'm not right, this play was written in 1960, but we felt Sakharam binder is still relevant in today's world globally, not in India, not in US, but all over the world. And being here in the United States and having with Dr. Richmond with us, we are definitely going to get a different perspective of the play, and we will hear from him that. We are lucky to get Mohanji, my dada, Mohanda, and he was with us in our festival several times. He directed a play at the South Asian Theatre Festival also, and we'll hear from him his experience about South Asian Theatre Festival, and he will ask questions to the directors and actors that how they are preparing for this particular play this year. Sureshji, I heard your name so many times. I'm a fan of your writing, and I'm fortunate enough to have you with us today. And I'm so glad that you with all your busy time, you were really interested to participate in this topic. With that, and Sureshji is very well connected with this play. Sorry,
Satish.
Sorry, Satishji is very well connected with this was very well connected with Vijayji, and also know about this place. I'm sure about this play by heart, and being a playwright, he also can bring his perspective that how he see this play can be still relevant in today's world. So with that said, I'll give this platform to Satishji to start from here.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that you have decided this year to stage Vijay Tendulkar's one of the landmarks play, Sakharam Binder, which was first performed in Marathi in the month of March 1972. In fact, 1972 year was very, very creative for Vijay Tendulkar because two of his landmark plays, Gashiram Kotwal as well as Sakharam Binder, both the plays written in totally different style, written in totally different subject, but the written at the same time during the same period of days. It was very amazing that Tendulkar, once I asked Tendulkar that how could you write these two plays simultaneously? In the morning one play, in the evening maybe, I don't know his exactly the schedule, but the history tells us, and my personal interaction with him, I still remember during my younger days that Tendulkar wrote these two plays at one go in 1972 beginning. And the first play, Sakharam Binder, was staged in Mumbai, and Gashiram Kotwal was passed on to the Pune Group Theatre Academy, which we established in 19 later on in 1973. But it was performed first by Progressive Dramatic Association, and then play was disowned by the group because of the content of the play, like Gashiram Kotwal. Instantly, the both these plays of Tendulkar became quite a controversial, and two different kind of controversies. While Sakharam Binder play was attacked by the press and the right wing theater of people because of the obscenity and the shocking value and the attack on the marriage system, etc., etc., and the kind of protagonist which Tendulkar has created and kind of characters he has created, Champa and Lakshmi. So and this controversy became a legal controversy later on, and play was stopped legally for some time. And later on, it was clear by the landmark judgment given by the by the court. While Gashiram Kotwal was the social controversy. After the Gashiram Kotwal 19 play shows were done, the play was stopped by not the public but the president of the group, Progressive Dramatic Association, because they say that this play was regarded as anti-Brahmin. Most of the actors acting in the play were Brahmin, not only Brahmin but Chitpavan Brahmins, and the director Jabbar Patel is a Muslim. So that was not, and the play has Tendulkar's was very critical on the Peshwa regime, and Peshwa regime is the only regime in the history of Maharashtra where the Brahmins were the rulers. So that controversy lasted, and ultimately, so much water has been flown under the bridge, and now we are here in 2072. All these play, both the plays have become a kind of a modern classics. They have been entered into the academics, and this is the real force of the creativity. Creativity cannot be cannot be subsidized, cannot be suppressed at all. It jumps back from the and it flows with the times. The controversy goes, and the play is really good. The play is really talks about the contemporary sensibility. The play talks about the truth in the society. The plays will the play and the theme will survive. And I'm happy to tell you that the both these plays during completing half a century this year. In last March 2022, Sakharam Binder completed 58 years of existence, and on the 16th of December, coming December 2022, Gashiram Kotwal will complete 50 years of his existence on stage. So almost half a century has been passed. Most of the people acted in both these two plays have, many of them, they passed away. Playwright is not there. Many directors have been passed away. Many our dear colleagues have been passed away, but still the plays are being performed. Plays are being performed in India and abroad. That is the really strength of the creativity and the classics of the both the theme. Absolute power corrupts all is the theme taken in Gashiram Kotwal, and Sakharam Binder is totally he comes with his own philosophy. It doesn't all the characters which were then the characters with the shock element now over the years have become kind of a metaphor. They cease to become the characters and they have become a metaphor. That is the strength of the classic element in our art, and I'm very happy that the New Jersey group has taken up this important play, Sakharam Binder. But having said that, I read that play yesterday in Marathi, and I find it that play is been now looks a bit overwritten. I think that the play has to be edited with the with the keeping in times of the current time of reference, and I think there's the verbosity of the play, and there are too much dialogues in the play. Now I think it can be reduced and it can be edited. And another aspect that the Tendulkar writes the visuals so vividly, keeping intact the Tendulkar's sense of visual is very matured and very ahead of his time, including the use of lights. He visualizes his lights design, light design. Also, you get it by reading the play, which I find that there could be a director who will find this material is very can be converted into wonderful film. Right now the play looks a kind of a dystopian world in its dystopian world, but if the young director works on it and he interprets the play, it can become a wonderful screenplay, taking the taking the dystopian world out, and you can see the entire community of the dystopian community. Tendulkar imagine a kind of a dystopian world in a small in a two one bedroom apartment, and if you can visualize now, you will see that dystopian world is spread everywhere, and the dystopian home has become a kind of a dystopian town over the years. That is my my few observations. Thank you.
Thank you, Satishji. Thanks for your really good introduction for this play, and a lot of information. I'm sure that our audience will know about this particular play. That I want to go to Mohanji now, asking a question that you are involved in South Asian Theatre Festival. You know our audience pretty well, and after 50 years, we decided to do this play. So, what do you think that how it could be still relevant for our audience or today's world? Mohanji, are you muted?
And unmute, please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. As Satish mentioned, Sakharam can't be considered in isolation because the controversy came in the same year when Sakharam and Gashiram both were staged. And the controversy was mainly about Tendulkar, that he is writing such anti-Brahmin plays. in one go. Another thing is, as Satish said, Sakharam was staged by a professional group, in our terms, commercial group. Whereas Ghashiram was staged by Pune, which in our terminology called amateur, but it doesn't have the same connotation as in America or Europe. Here one must understand the terminology well of the theatre. In US, as I know, there is a Broadway theatre, there is a regional professional theatre, and there is amateur theatre. Like what you are doing. And the way you are doing theatre is much more connected with the kind of theatre we did. Means we have professional approach, but the only thing is we are not paid for what we do. But the approach is professional, the quality of production is same. Because why I have to say this, because when we came with Ghashiram to North America, particularly Quebec International Festival, the director instructed me not to use the term amateur. So we use the term non-paid professionals, because both the productions were done professionally. As Satish said, Sakharam had to go to the court because there was censor objection, and they really got a good mileage out of it also, because it was first time that the court gave a decision on the side of the play, overruling the objections raised by certain fragments of the society. But before opening the show, Kamalagar Sarang, the director of the show and the owner of the company.
Battery 80%.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Decided that for the smooth functioning and the shows of the play, it may be a good idea to stage a show for a particular leader in the society, the party of which has really raised the main objection. So he did that, and he got green signal from the party leader, and therefore Sakharam started with great restart by the same group again. Whereas Ghashiram, as Satish said, created a problem within the group, and we had to separate from the parent group and start the shows again with Theatre Academy. This was good because our policy was cool the cake and eat it. And they were fighting for us, which was advantageous. I personally was present when the show of Sakharam Binder was actually prevented from being staged in Pune, in Balgandharva, because I wanted to see it and I had purchased the ticket, but the show couldn't take place because of the 7-party protest. And then there was a meeting with the Assistant Commissioner of Police, the leaders or the local representatives of these parties, and I attended that. And the funny thing was, the 2 persons sitting next to me from one of the parties kept on saying that it's a party decision, so we have to do it, but we have seen Ghashiram, it's a wonderful play, so you go ahead and do it. So there itself I got the evidence that Ghashiram is not only a play, it's a social tendency. Another important thing is the canvas. Though Sakharam was a contemporary social play written in the environment about a binder who is a Brahmin, and his relationship, his openness about sex and about relations, the way he would have with a woman who stays with him. That point of time, in a conservative city like Pune or Bombay, this was a great shock. So obviously, it met with tremendous resistance. As against Ghashiram, apparently thought were historical play because it was based on a historical legend. But surprisingly enough, it was based on a telltale story. It was unhistorical play which created a great history by running non-stop for 20 years. And I had the, you can say, fortune of playing Nana for 20 years, which is really a very rare opportunity for the original actor to do shows for 20 years and actually understand the role very well, because one has the chance to go into the depth of the character. So these two things, and I was good friends. Later, I became good friends with Kamlakar Sarang and Lalan Sarang, who played Champa. And this obscenity which Satish referred to had to do with her changing the sari on the stage. The way she changed it was phenomenal. Phenomenal means you have to see it to watch it, the way she did it. And Niru Phule played Sakharam, and he made the role unforgettable. So much so that later, when Kamlakar offered the role to me once, I honestly told him I wouldn't dare to do this role as long as the memory of this role done by Niru Bhau is very active in the minds of viewers. So I don't want to buy a trouble, and it's wonderful. I actually enjoyed it also, and I actually learned a lot from Niru Phule's acting in that role and the way he performed. It was amazing. And the entire performance was also gripping, completely different from Ghashiram. Ghashiram was totally different. It was a, what you can say, as Tendulkar said, a telltale story set in verse, music, and mime. As against Sakharam, Sakharam is a very realistic play then. And the way man-woman relationship as if today. I mean, had it done then probably in US, also it would have shocked, because by then even in US, the women were very, very different, were completely aware of their rights and human rights and the way they were treated. So if they were to see this play original, there would have been a greater shock than Ghashiram. Ghashiram was not shocking at all, for the further away we went from Pune. Ghashiram, the biggest problem was doing it in Pune because of the Nana Fadnavis known by the myths of the history. And they mistook Nana Fadnavis of the play of Nana Fadnavis and the history, in the history. That wasn't the case with Sakharam Binder. Sakharam Binder, the language used, as Satish said, and the language used in Ghashiram is completely different. It has a certain kind of rhythm, a nice musical dialogues and everything, which Tendulkar has written. And the dialogues of Sakharam, you absolutely get goose pimples when you hear, especially the way he treats Champa and the other lady who follows. I won't tell the story, because, and I'm sure Farley has captured the essence of the play. Farley is so well versed with Indian theatre, not only Marathi theatre, and he has creatively used different theatre forms from south to here, And I'm really very happy that he chose a play like Sakharam Banda after initially having done plays like Marchakatikam and other plays in the other parts of the country. So I would like not only congratulate, I'm extremely curious to see the production of Farley, and I'm really going to miss it. Normally, as you know, Dipan, this was the period earlier when I would be in New Jersey. Because of my brother staying there, I always found an excuse to visit New Jersey. After his unfortunate death in 2013, when I was there doing Play for You, it hasn't been so. I haven't come there often. But now, this instance makes me very, very curious to see. Meanwhile, you have a very talented group. There are wonderful actors in your group. And the way Epic has come up in last so many years with their consistent qualitative productions, I think you have made a name for yourself, and I wish you, Fali, and all the other, particularly Gargi, with whom I have worked, and I know her capabilities, wonderful. And unlike Gashiram, I am curious to know also the public response to Sakharam Bender in 2022. Thank you.
And Farley has got a very deep personal connection with Vijay Tendulkar. He has
Battery 80%. Battery 80%. Connected to Satish's magic carrot.
Hello,
are you getting me?
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
Are you getting my voice? Okay. Farley has got a very deep connection with Vijay Tendulkar, personal connection, because he has done Vijay Tendulkar's plays much previous. He also did a couple of his plays like Panchi Aisa Hai, Ashi Pakre, based on a film Rainmaker. So I'm very happy that Farley has chosen this play. Another thing I would like to share audience, how the things change with the time. Just a minute. Put off one of the mic is on.
If others can switch off their mics, we might be able to hear better.
Satish, you are muted now.
So what I was saying that the as the time changes, and if the plays are good, really good, and they tend to become the classics, then the shock element gradually goes away, and the real artistic element they come up, and the perception also change, because when we are young, we were in our 20s, these two plays have come up, Gashiram Kotwal and Sakharam Binder. And there have been, since we are being young theatre practitioners, we have been told by the elders that you should write the plays about the eagles, not about the vultures. that was the kind of advice given to us by the elderly people in the theater, that you should think of the not these kind of a subject like Ghanshiram Kotwal or Sakharam Binder. You should think about the writing about the eagles who could take the flight, etc. But over the years, time had changed. This play have become classics. They have entered into academics, and during our younger age, we have been received a lot of criticism of supporting this kind of a plays. And when I have become a chair of the performing art department at the Pune University, the student came to me one year in 2001 or 2000, I don't remember exactly, with the proposal that they would like to stage this play as a practical examination play for the post graduation. And I was in the totally shocked that when I was about 20 years old, this play have been criticized like anything, and these are not to be mentioned, these are obscene plays, etc. And how now I am become a teacher, and in 2020 those play have become into the academics. So that is the really strength of the theme and the greatness of the Vijay Tendulkars, that all these senseless controversies, the real art surpasses, and it comes out of the minds and becomes more and more relevant. And I would like to see the also very curious to see the reactions of the American Indian audience, especially in the present regime in India. How the this Indian audience reacts to this kind of a controversial play in America in 2022. So I'm also curious to learn, because there is a lot of talk in the current regime that the history is wrong. We have to set the history correct. We have to set the history is correct. We have been told about, we're totally bogged down with the history of Mughals, and the real history has been totally suppressed, etc., etc. So under this change environment during the last 10 years in India, how this play has been will be received by the Indian American audience is very curious to know. And I'm glad that you have chosen that display.
Thank you so much, Satishji. And this is the platform we created for last 15, 16 years. We always took up challenges to bring up controversial issues, or the issues that relates to our society all over the world. And we are not afraid of bringing any issues.
Yes. I heard a lot about this group, even though I have not been interacted as officially, but I will listening to all the stories from Mohon and Farley. And Farley was here to conduct a course for us a couple of years back before pandemic. We had a very interesting anecdote. And also the Ashok Chaudhary is in touch with me. He's from your group. He's, I think, designing the costume. He's designed the costume. He visited me in, whenever he's in India, in Pune. So, and you have got a very short play competitions of multilingual nature. That has also been another project of your group that has been that should be lauded.
So I would like to go to our director, Professor Richmond now.
Yeah.
Farley Richmond, and one thing I will.
So switch off your mic.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Can you speak? Can you hear me?
Yes. We can.
Yes.
Someone's okay. So, what we've just heard are brilliant insights into the past of the play and the success of the play, reaching out to audiences in India originally. And I met Tendulkar as it was said before, at his home and interviewed him and took a tape recording of his comments. And at the time, he was very inspiring. He was quite inspiring as a writer and speaker. And so I was impressed, and one of the reasons that drew me to this particular play was that it had that tremendous power that the actor can bring to the character, so that the writing expands your notion of what character can be on the stage. So often Arthur Miller and his writings are similar in some ways to Tendulkar's
Yes.
writings.
Yes,
And
very right, very right.
yeah, and very powerful when they reach the stage. His All My Sons in particular has a characteristic of being done by really talented actors. And so as I've described to the cast, that I think that this is an actor's play. It's different in some ways from plays that Peter Brook, for example, undertook, because Brook, in doing Midsummer Night's Dream, changed the complexion and the approach to Midsummer Night's Dream to such an extent that directors for nearly a half a century wouldn't touch the play, because it became such a, his production was so particularly successful that no one else would dare touch it. Whereas with Tendulkar's plays, every actor should rush to want to play the roles that these characters have and to give to the audiences. So tuning like Ibsen and particularly Ibsen, Hedda Gabler or Doll's House. Those are plays that the actor brings to the audience almost as though it's a direct line to the audience. So what I've tried to do is not to engage too much in tampering with the play, because there's a tendency to want to create your version of this piece. But what I'm hoping that we will do is that the actor's version will be what we see when we see the production, with less effort on my part to texture the thing in a particular way. And so I was delighted when I was when Dr. Dipan Roy and I were talking about what play might I do, and this play came up, and he rushed to say, yes, this is a great play, because I think in his heart of hearts he believes that this group of people is a group of talented actors, and so they will bring life to this piece of art, and we'll all sort of have to sit back and have it happen. And so I'm hoping that's the success that happens in this piece. And I have two of my main actors sitting right next to me, and Sajal and Gargi, who I've worked with before in other projects where they were made to do all kinds of things. So this is the newest of the approaches to doing new things by seasoned actors. So I think that we should learn something from their experiences about the play and their work in the play thus far. And I wish that all of you could come and see the play. Those of you who are in India, of course, that's not possible. But the miracle of technology has given us an opportunity to talk to each other, at least, for thousands of miles away. And so one day maybe we'll be able to see live work coming from the theaters in Bombay and Calcutta and other parts of the country. So I would ask the two of my performers, and I'll claim them as my performers, to say something about their approach to the characters and what this play means to them. So, Sajal, you want to lead the pack?
Am I audible? Yes?
Yes,
you are.
Okay. So I'm first of all deeply honored to have been offered to play the role of Sakharam Binder, and I was also and I'm still am quite nervous because of the fact that you mentioned, Dr. Agashe, that and some work which is a masterpiece by Neelu Phule, and then trying to play that character itself is, as I would say in Hindi, gustaki maaf karna. So it is going to be really interesting to see what comes out of it. But from characterization perspective, I of course did some homework trying to interpret the character in my own mind and try to figure it out as to who is really Sakharam. And I would not get into all of those details, but I think there is in today's context, if I look at it more metaphorically, and I think Dr. Alekar, you mentioned this, there is probably an element of Sakharam in all of us, in all the men, in any society, in anywhere in the world. And this whole the way he challenged the society around us, around himself, and he had his own philosophy. Some elements of those philosophy, for some reason or the other, is hard to explain. They sound very correct to me, and right to me, and probably it does to all men, or all people, or not just men and women. So I think I can connect in some ways from technicality, from the perspective of technicality. I found that this was indeed a very challenging role for multiple reasons. First, the sheer number of lines that have to be memorized, and in our context have to be memorized and played out within a matter of 3 to 4 weeks, which is very, very challenging with everything else that we do in our daytimes. And second, the play starts with him already, is practically dominating right from the very beginning. So it was very hard for me initially to find a graph as to how to build it out, because if you start yelling and shouting and abusing right from the very beginning till the end for 2 hours or 3 hours, I think today's audience will not have the patience to sit through all of that, and they will probably get disconnected very soon. So it was a challenge for me to really discover the graph within. And yes, I think the script provides that space, but it has to be studied very carefully to find out how to build that, so that we don't start with a crescendo and continue at that level. So these were some of the challenges. I met someone last night in fact, who had seen the play being performed by Neelu Phule, and she mentioned that she couldn't stand it after the first half an hour. She left the hall not because she disagreed with anything, but because the sheer shock well, and she couldn't deal with it in her own mind. I don't think that's going to happen with the audience of today, because this whole so-called challenge to the institution of marriage, institution of people who rule the society through their own rules and norms, I think these are pretty much accepted nowadays. So particularly in this country and even in India, people live together. People, sex outside marriage is an accepted norm. Marriage has already seriously challenged, and you have men marrying men and women marrying women and all kinds of things that are happening, right or wrong. I'm not trying to be judgmental about it, but it is now given. So I think the shock value is much lesser in today's context. However, from purely from a technical perspective, it has to be played out so that it does not sound monotonous, it does not sound repetitive, and it sounds and we are able to hold the curiosity of the audience and make it interesting for them. So that is what I would say as the as some of my observations. Over to you, Gargi.
Like Sajal, I am also I feel privileged to be playing the part of Champa in this. To me, it's a very difficult play, and to be under the guidance of Dr. Richmond, it is truly an honor. What intrigues me about Champa, and actually the other character as well, which is also being played by another talented actor from New Jersey, Madhuvanti. The women, their sheer battle for survival is the most intriguing part for me as far as playing this character is concerned. The two of them adopt different kinds of tools and tactics just to stay alive, and to stay alive with a roof over their head, with 2 meals a day, and wearing basic 2 saris literally. And what has often shocked me and has shaken me to the core is to see the lengths that these women will go to, will endure, will tolerate, just in order to be able to survive. That is very challenging, and at the same time, very very sad. It depicts a very sad state of being, especially for the female gender. And in 2022, to be playing the role of this type of women, I feel I need to be convinced myself, so that I can emanate that conviction and create that conviction for my audiences as well. I hope again, like Sajal, I would have loved for Mohanji, Satishji, for you all to see the play, but hopefully someday it will happen. But for now, I hope our audiences come and support us in this effort of ours, and when they see the play, that they do get something out of it, and if not anything, that at least they go home and they go home thinking, they go home pondering, because I think as actors, as theatre workers, that's all we can do, make people think, and that's what we intend to do at the end of the day.
Keep us posted.
Keep us posted.
When is the first show?
August 7th, next Sunday.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Okay, we have another clip to where I will add the two and want to bring some discussion and you can listen to our team. You can have contributions. And I can get you that if you invite us, we did go to India in the past with other performances, and we want to do it in front of both of you, so that the perspective you gave us today, and we can also bring our performance, show you what we did in the end. So yeah, I would expect that we will travel to India and invite you to come and see our performances.
Sure.
And
sure.
now,
I'm looking forward.
yeah. Now, if you want to ask any question to our team, so that our audience know more about these performances. They already know, I'm sure. Yes, Mohanji. Mohanji,
Thank you. Permit me to leave
Thank you.
for dinner.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you so much. And we learned a lot of story about this particular original play, and I'm happy that you both joined us and
Yeah.
enriched us about this particular play, and also our audience. If someone still watching us in the audience and hesitating whether they should come or not, I'm sure that after today's session, they will make a decision that yes, we don't want to miss it. As you
Yeah.
said, Satishji, as Mohanji said, that we don't want to miss it. Our audience in New Jersey definitely should say no, we don't want to miss it after this discussion.
And I'm sure that in this mature audience, this play will be definitely click, because ultimately this play deals with the politics of man-woman relationship, and politics of man-woman relationship is so profound. So at the same time, it is very primitive. At the same time, it is very contemporary in all the things that changing. One-upmanship is changing. Who is the winner and who is the loser? It's a very cat and mouse game, and I think that in current socio-political scenario, it is very interesting to see how the politics of man-woman relationship functions in at the contemporary scenario. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Hi, Farley, take care of your health. Okay, see you.
See,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to add one question to a question which was raised by Sophie,
And
and
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
that
that
the
what
audience
is
should
no,
know that
that original play was
I
I remember
remember
was, and we put this challenge to you to edit this play,
bring
bring it down to earth.
how
How
we
we will do that?
What was that? I didn't
And
catch the
how
question.
did you edit the script, the original script, and bring it down to 2 hours?
Oh, well, editing it's always a dangerous thing to talk about cutting or editing a play, because theoretically and truthfully you should always have the permission of the playwright when you do anything of this kind. There have been looser controls over cutting in past, and it vacillates between one extreme and the other. Some playwrights would prefer never to have any amateur group or a community theater group do their work. So Eugene O'Neill particularly refused to allow his works to be performed. Long Day's Journey into Night, which is perhaps one of the greatest Western plays that has ever been written, refused to have his works done by amateurs. He just said no, period. And others were more concerned about the settings that the directors tend to do, to put their plays in a setting that's not what the playwright intended. And so what we've tried to do is to be judicious in the way we handle the play itself. And so consequently there have been some changes made. And so in a way I'd like to think of the play as being an interpretation, that we're doing an interpretation of this play rather than the authentic play as it was originally written. I know that's a little hard to understand, but basically it seems to me that what we're doing is we're doing our take on the particular work of art, rather than doing the work of art as it was originally intended.
In its entirety.
In its entirety, and the way it was, even descriptions of the set, all of the details. So we've tried to pull back and rethink how this piece is to be presented to the public. And how successful we will be depends on the public. And but I'm assuming it's going to be very successful. So I have the two gifted actors here who can claim that it is. But we won't know till we get the performance and to see what the public does and thinks of it.
I think one thing we can guarantee is I do feel the audience is going to be riveted to their seats for 2 hours.
Yeah, thank you.
You're on mute.
Very much looking forward to sit in the audience and watch this play. And also today we have only 3 minutes left. I just want to mention that we have 3 more. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring them live. 3 more talented actors we have with us: Harun, Madhubanti, and Avijit. So if they are there, just show your face on the camera so people can see, audience can see you that you are also working. As you know that with the in this kind of studio we are not able to bring too many people together. That was kind of limitations we had. But anything I would Sajol or Gargi on behalf of the team want to say our audience, please feel free to say that. And I am myself appealing to our people who try to get, please buy your ticket, wonderful.
Yeah, all I would say is come and watch us.
Yes.
And give us your feedback. So
Here are two more of the
You say
group.
please,
No,
please,
no,
please,
you
please.
please say.
hello.
Here are 2 of our other actors. This is Madhubanti, who's playing the role of Lakshmi.
You're not in the camera.
And this is Ghulam Sarwar Harun. He's playing the role of Dawood. I mentioned about Lakshmi earlier to our viewers and audiences. All I can say is you have to come and see a controversial play like this. You've heard about all the controversies and the play being banned, and at least this should have piqued your curiosity to come and find out what this play was about and why it generated all this controversy. Tell our audiences to come and see.
Yes, please, we are working very hard, and please come and watch us performing this amazing play. It's an iconic play, and I'm really thankful that I got this opportunity. I'm really enjoying the process, and please join us. Thank you.
Harun?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this production. I have worked with Dr. Richmond earlier in the 2014, I guess. The play Little Clay Cart, and after a long break again I am working under his guidance, and this is a great privilege to me, and looking forward to perform on NBPAC, and hope all our audience we have created in our journey, through our journey in this many years, they will be satisfied with this play. They will not regret. That I can assure.
Yay.
You're on mute.
But attitude to business. So I want to give a and I'm to our who gave us opportunity to bring discussion today. And without his help, probably we would not be able to reach our audience with this wonderful, wonderful play after 50 years. And it is kind of, I'm happy to know that you are almost celebrating 50th anniversary of this play again today, next week. So thank you, Ramkrishna. Thank you so much. Thank you, team. I know I pulled you out of the rehearsal, but thanks for your time.
Thank you everyone. আমি দীপন দাকে ধন্যবাদ জানাবো, অরুণ দাকে ধন্যবাদ জানাবো, এবং ডক্টর রিচমন্ড আপনাকেও অনেক ধন্যবাদ। আমরা আজকে যে আলোচনাটা করলাম, আমার মনে হয় আমাদের এর পরে যারা এই আলোচনা দেখবেন বা শুনবেন, তারা এপিকের জন্য নিশ্চয়ই একটা খুব বড়সড় হাততালি রাখবেন। এই কারণের জন্য যে এপিক যে কাজটা করছে যে সাহসটা দেখাতে পেরেছে বিদেশের মাটিতে থেকে ভারতীয় নাটক নিয়ে, সেটা বোধহয় অনেকেই পারেন না। আর সে কারণে মিরর নিউজও আপনাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছে। মিরর নিউজ চায়, অবশ্যই চায় যে এই সাহসিকতাটা আমাদের ভারতে থেকে যারা কাজ করেন থিয়েটার নিয়ে, তারাও যেন এই সাহসটা দেখাবার মতন সাহস রাখতে পারেন মনে। অনেক ধন্যবাদ দীপন দা এবং বাকিদের সবাইকে। ইতিমধ্যে আমাদের এই মঞ্চ থেকে বেরিয়েছেন, চলে গিয়েছেন, তবে অনেকে ছিলেন, অনেকক্ষণ সময় ছিলেন। আপনাদের সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে, আমাদেরও সময় খুব কম, আপনাদের সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে অনুষ্ঠান শেষ করছি। আমার কাজ ছিল এতটুকুই। নমস্কার।